the next portion, we have to get a couple tables set up here, is probably what everybody's been waiting for, and that's the panel discussion, question and answers. So give us about 5 minutes and we'll get our stuff set up and open up the floor. Erin Oliverio, who I want to thank for helping me get everything set up today, she's going to be our moderator. And she's going to try to limit some questions, give everybody a fair chance of answering, so that we don't have one or two people who dominate too much, because we have a finite period, and then we'll have demos outside. Thank you.
Basic principles that we use to come up with this table, because I think that's important. And any changes to this table, we'll continue to use sort of these three basic principles. And first and foremost is that we've got to prevent pollutants from entering our creeks and lakes to the maximum extent practicable. And we talked about that MIP. And that not only applies to the stormwater program, but the sewer use ordinance as well. I mean, they're charged with preventing pollutants from entering through the wastewater treatment plant discharges. And that includes compliance with all local, state, and federal laws. Nobody in this room has the authority to say that anybody can violate any of those laws. So we're limited as to what we can change or how flexible we can be. So that's first and foremost. We've got to make sure we're preventing pollutants from entering our creeks and our lakes to the maximum extent practicable. Number two, and this is important, we can't contaminate soil and we can't contaminate groundwater. And we don't want to allow pollutants to build up in the soil so that when it rains, it washes into our creeks. Because some folks say, well, why can't I just run this into the landscape area? Well, in some cases you can. And that's what we've tried to allow for in some situations in this table. But what we've done in this table, when we say one car, when you say, how in the world are they coming to that? Well, we're thinking in terms of how much washing or how much of a discharge could you allow in the soil before you want to start building up pollutants and contaminate the soil, kill the plants, maybe contaminate groundwater, maybe build up pollutants on the soil and not washing the creek. So I just wanted to kind of let you know that's what we're thinking there. And that is a charge the state has told us. You know, you can't allow pollutants to build up in the soil. That's absolutely a no-no. So there's another guiding principle. And third, and this is important to us too, we don't want to put anybody out of business. I mean, we understand that you have a job to do, and we want to try to be practical, but the first two rules come first. And so I just wanted to offer that as a little guidance as we start into this discussion. And I think Erin is going to moderate, Erin Oliverio, she's with Charlotte Mecklenburg Stormwater Services. She's going to serve as our moderator. And if you ask a question, speak loudly, and one of us will come to the mic and explain or give an answer so that you all can hear.
Thank you all. What we're going to do is just you can raise your hand and I'll call on one of you, and then you can stand up, state your name clearly, and then the question loudly so that the room can hear, hopefully. And then like Rusty said, whoever's going to answer is going to come up to the mic. So let's get started. We have about a half hour to get through all of this. Here in the front.
Hi, Carlos with the UAMCC. I wanted to ask a question in regards to the, I think Craig mentioned something about an advisory panel that is made up of citizens that hear, I guess, cases in regards to violations. Would it be feasible or possible to have a member of the pressure washing industry, contractors that operate in the city or in the county, as either part of that advisory council or involved in that somehow to give professional feedback as to what the general public is hearing?
Absolutely. As I said, the Stormwater Advisory Committee has specific bylaws, and some of the bylaws are concerning the makeup. And it says in those bylaws that one of the representatives has to come from industry or commercial sector. Now, there has to, in order to get on that extra committee of 9, there has to be an opening in that sector, and that person would have to be approved, be nominated and approved, but certainly that person can sit on that advisory council. Rusty's been working at this a lot longer than I have. So
yeah, the council's got 9 votes on it, and Daryl helped me here, but 4 of them are appointed by the city, 4 of them are appointed by the county, and 1 of them is appointed by the towns. And there's 6 towns, and we divide them in the north and south, and the north will appoint one year, and the south will appoint 1 year, and then they rotate all that around. When I say appoint, they're appointed by the elected officials. And they're, in each of these 9 positions, they represent various segments of our society. Like there's a lawyer on it. Yeah, there's a lawyer on it. And there's an engineer on it. There's a representative from the industrial community. There's 2 or 3 private sector representatives. And so there's kind of that kind of makeup. So you have to meet one of those criteria, and you have to be appointed by the elected body. Now, if you are interested, we can take your name and provide it to the Vivian Love, who manages that. She's the secretary, administrative assistant that works with that. And when we have an opening coming up that you may qualify for, then she will contact you. So we can do that.
Okay, the next question. Back in the blue shirt.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, this is for pressure washing, but how does street cleaning with water trucks fit into this overall thing? And is there a difference in construction, street washing, and just like washing down Tryon Street or something? How does that fit into this equation?
You know, I wondered about that myself. And we have people running up and down Tryon Street, street washing equipment, and what they do is they're scrubbing the street and they're vacuuming some of that up, and then some of it, their water is washing over the street, some of that is washing into the storm drain. Now, obviously, there's some pollutants that are going to be coming off that road and going into the storm drain. The theory behind that is, though, that the bulk of it, they're going to be vacuuming a lot of those pollutants up, vacuuming a lot of that dirt up, and actually you're making the street cleaner so that when it rains, you have less pollutants going into the storm sewer system. So it's what we call a best management practice that actually helps to keep cleaner water in our storm drains. Now, they are loosening up dirt, and they are allowing some of that to go into the storm drain, that's true. But for the most part, they're actually cleaning up more than they're allowing to enter the system. And then there are construction sites that have mud all over the streets, and they go out there and they scrub the streets and rinse it down, and that is not supposed to go into the creek because that is a violation of law. That's supposed to go in. Usually construction sites will have a sediment basin that water's supposed to run to and sit, allow the mud to settle out before it goes downstream. But, sometimes those kinds of things happen. Sometimes it does get in a creek, and if it does, then that's a violation of the law.